Just a couple things to mention about the club. The club has been around a very long time. It was founded in 1947, came SCR in 1949, and we're now incorporated since 1961 as a not-for-profit corporation. The board is made up of about 10 people. Jason McAlpine's our current president, with Zach McIntyre as the vice president. Phil is our, a treasurer, and Chris currently the secretary. The club depends on a lot of other people to make things happen, including Bob Kelly, who's out here all the time, cutting grass, walking through the trails. If you're out here riding the trails one day, you'll probably see him pop out. It's like pokeroo sometimes.
We'll start off this virtual orientation the same way you would start an in-person orientation, by driving into the property. We enter through a small gravel driveway off the third line on the Six Nations Reserve. There are no big signs, so keep your eyes peeled for the little blue marker that says 374. If you're coming in from Brantford, it will be on the right, at the bottom of the hill, and before the gas station that will come up on your left. If you're coming in from Ohsweken, you'll pass the gas station on your right, and you'll be looking for the driveway marked 374 on your left before you go up the hill. You'll see the steel gate that you saw at the beginning of this video. If it's closed, the facility is closed. It's a club requirement to display your current Steel City hang tag whenever you're on club property. This is a good time to pause and hang it from your mirror with the printed side facing forward. This tag has your bike number and emergency contact information on it. As well as being a good way to ensure that only authorized members are riding here, it's a very important tool if someone gets hurt. In an emergency, the number on the bike can be matched to the number on the hang tag so that the correct people are contacted. This is why it's also important that you always have your number on your bike while on site. This driveway goes past houses, including that of our landowner, so always be respectful and safe. The speed limit is 20 kilometers an hour, and riding our bikes on the access road is prohibited. We'll fast forward the video here to save a little bit of time.
Hey, look, a wild turkey.
As we get into some bush near the T intersection, the off-road loop that circles the track and parking lot crosses the access road. The bikes are required to stop for the cars, but go extra slow through this part. Look and listen for bikes, and be ready to stop. If someone misses the stop sign, we don't want a collision. At the T, there's a warning sign.
You are entering a restricted area at your own risk and accept total responsibility for anything that might happen to you.
Because this is a not-for-profit club with no paid employees, and because everyone signs a waiver acknowledging as much, you are riding at your own risk. We'll cross the bridge and we'll park in the main parking area. In this overhead view, we just came in off the entry road at the lower right, and the video stopped with the truck right under the word parking in the main parking. The main motocross track can be seen at the upper right. The beginner track can be seen at the upper left. The trail system snakes around the perimeter of the property, hidden by the trees.
So we're here now in the parking lot of the club track. Normally you'd be doing an in-person orientation, but of course with COVID rules and everything right now, we're just throwing something together so that we can get you new members out here riding as soon as the rest of us are able to ride.
We'll do a quick 360 view to show you the main parking area. You can see the roadway. Obviously, that should never be left blocked. On race days, this whole area will be filled, generally with the big RVs and such, in the area to the left of where Dave's truck is. The outhouse is over by the little bridge where we came in. Don't run that over, or you'll be very unpopular. The parking spots in front of and just to the left of Dave's truck are where Phil and Jason park on race days. Jason's trailer is where you go on your work days to get your flags, get your flagging assignments, and for Jason to give you the flagging instructions. Over to the right, in front of the picnic table, is where the riders' meetings are held before off-road races. For motocross races, the riders' meeting is held in front of the red trailer. They also go out on a radio frequency, so you can tune in from any radio in the parking area. This trailer is where you go to sign in for MX races, and it's where the scoring is done. Note that sign to the left, reminding us all to follow the COVID rules. The table inside the trailer is where the people running check-in and scoring sit. You can also see that some people use this space to donate equipment to the club, or just leave it for someone specific. If you want to spectate, The way to access the viewing area is through the tunnel beside the red trailer. The two tunnels are the only way the spectators are allowed to cross the track. Careful when walking through, it can get slippery when it's wet. On the other side, there are some stairs. We'll pause here to quickly point out that really cool trials section to the left and the finish line's official station above the tunnel we just came through. At the top of the stairs is the main spectator area. Always stay within the limits of the spectator area unless you're flagging, officiating, or riding in a race. When you cross through the next tunnel, you'll be in the spectator area behind the finish line. You have to be very alert for moving bikes here as the entry trail for the MX track and the exit trail from the starting area cross your walking path. Most bikes will be coming up the hill, but still make sure that you check both ways. If there are a lot of bikes in the starting line, you may not hear a bike that's moving. The next area that you'll come to is the Valley Jump spectator area. This is as far as spectators are allowed to go. You can see a big number 14 on a board there. This identifies the track section, and that helps flaggers know where to go to flag. It also helps our emergency crew find a downed rider to give them assistance. Before you even think about going to the track to start riding, first check the track direction on the sign on the red trailer. The track can run clockwise or counterclockwise. If it's clockwise, the arrow on the red trailer will point to the left, and the one at the end of the start straight will point right. Always be very careful when heading up to the track. Right where the red X is, the trail system shares the same path but runs in the opposite direction. When you get up to the starting gate, stop for a moment. Ensure that the direction sign agrees with the sign on the trailer in terms of clockwise or counterclockwise. Watch and listen for other riders. Make sure that you see them and verify that they're following the direction arrows. If not, stop them and agree upon a direction to ride in and move both of the signs to match that direction. If the track is running clockwise, instead of going across traffic on the start straight, hook around to the left and head back down the hill to the front straight to start your lap. Your first lap of the day should always be a slow sighting lap to note any changes to the track that might have happened since the last time you rode. We'll pause at the red X to talk a little bit. At the end of the front straight, there's a little hill with a 120-degree right turn at the top of it. This is the normal configuration of the track for practice days. There's a long loop with a little double jump if you go straight, and if you go slightly to the right of that, there's a medium loop with a series of whoops on the exit of the turn. But those sections are closed except on race days. Make sure that you always obey the signs and barriers that are put in place. Our next stop is the entry to the big right-handed sweeper. You could see in the previous overhead view that there are loops that can be added in on race days before, during, and after this round sweeper. These are not used during practice days because a fallen rider couldn't be seen and there are no flaggers to warn the next rider when it's not a race day. It's possible that somebody could come over a hill and hit a downed rider.
You couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant.
This is the Valley Jump. It's the biggest jump on the track. It's not a highly technical jump, and if you land on the downslope after the tabletop, it's a pretty smooth landing. But you can't see the landing area while you're taking off, and if you jump too long, you'll land on the flat after that slope. And that's been known to break ankles and wrists from the big impact. Build your skills in the smaller jumps before you try this one, or better yet, attend jumping classes at one of our motocross schools when they can be restarted again. We're now standing at the track exit. This is the only acceptable exit, and this is not a place that we can enter the track. This is an exit only, and it is the only exit. We'll end our track tour with a warning. While you're lapping the track, you'll see little dirt roads leading from one section of the track to another. These are there to allow for different track layouts and configurations on race days. They are not intended as shortcuts or bypasses and aren't to be used to cut out sections of the track when you're lapping. Doing so can put you in the path of an airborne motorcycle and may even send you in the wrong direction and into oncoming traffic. This is our beginner track. It's intended for 50s and 65s. But even adult beginner riders who aren't ready for the main track can use it, as long as there are no little ones riding on it at the time. It's also okay to use it on your big bike if you're just following your kid around as they're learning. Sometimes this track will be rolled into the layout for some off-road events. But if you're just practicing, use good judgment and don't rip around this track on a 450 at high power setting and dig big ruts everywhere. 450 size rut is going to be way too much for a little 65 or a 50 to handle, so just keep in mind what this track is intended for. You can see by the sign in the background that this is a one-way track. The exit and entry point is well controlled by the fencing. Parents tend to like to park right next to this track so that they can watch Junior from the trailer. So if you're not using the beginner track, try to leave those spots open. Steel City's trail system can be accessed at the locations of the 3 red X's and entered in the directions that are indicated by the arrows. It loops around the property and it runs in only one direction. There's plenty of signs, arrows, and barriers to guide you. There are a lot of possible trail configurations, so don't ignore the signs and barriers to make your own route. Not only could it cause a collision, but it's pretty easy to get lost out there, and we don't want you to wind up as barefoot if it gets dark. Always stop and look both ways when you get to the 3 stop signs. Also, there are a lot of blind hills and turns where there might be something blocking the trail that you can't see until it's too late. So leave the 10/10ths riding for the race days. Like the track, always do a sighting lap at low speeds before you pick up the pace. Trees fall, and we'd hate for you to run into a fallen tree at full speed. Over by the red trailer, in the same area of the parking lot where the motocross riders' meetings are held, there is a board with instructions telling us what to do in case of an emergency. This board has step-by-step instructions, as well as the address of the club property and the address and phone number of the Brantford General Hospital. The address of the club is 374 3rd Line, Ohsweken, Ontario. The 5th step shown is the very important step of notifying the Steel City board members as soon as possible when an accident has happened. This is very important from a legal point of view and also so that they can track the accident and use that information to help keep us all out riding instead of recovering from injuries.
So that'll wrap up our COVID era orientation, the video orientation. Everybody be safe out here. One thing to mention too, we do have a porta potty. Keep it clean. Clean up after yourself. There's sanitizer here. Follow all COVID rules. If you gotta go, you gotta go.